Hello everyone and welcome to another Starcraft 2 video. For this one we are doing a Gauntlet series tournament for S02E01 bots once again. Yeah, so much like the previous season, except we have a whole bunch of new bots. Some older bots have left the scene, some bots have gotten much stronger recently, so it'll be very interesting. We're also going to go all the way up to the top, including Micro Machine with his 97% win rate. Yeah, and some changes from the previous season. One is, I'm not sure if you noticed, but we weren't playing on the most up-to-date patch in the past, and now we more or less are. Basically, the last time you heard Alpha Star was the last time Blizzard updated the API for us on Linux, which is where these games are run. And yeah, so we're stuck on things like infested Terrans and widow mines requiring drilling claws to stay cloaked and stuff like that. But yeah, custom maps have been built actually by Scarlet, who is not only a pro player but a good programmer. So she's been a part of the scene and used her spare time to provide us with maps that mimic the current balance patch almost perfectly. And this upcoming season after this one, we're actually going to be like fully up to date. Like all the little tweaks in the balance are done, and we're going to be in the newest map pool. Yeah, so that's going to be interesting. So let's go ahead and do this. This is a Gauntlet style tournament, so we're basically going to start with the lowest ranked bot, and it'll play the second lowest ranked bot, and the winner of that will move on to face the next bot, who will move on to face the next bot. So we get to see a nice progression from like the newest and lowest level bots all the way up to the powerhouse of Micro Machine and his 97% win rate. Yeah, so let's go ahead and click on these first two here. We do have Garbage Can, who it's funny, we once had a bot at the bottom of the ladder called the Bottom. Now we got a bot at the bottom of the ladder called Garbage Can. That's I'm sure it won't be living up to his name forever though. A first bot to test stuff out with. Currently a really bad battlecruiser rush. So that will be interesting. We do see it is last updated on the same date it was created. So it might have been an abandoned project. Maybe Sam has moved on to other things. Maybe he's created another bot that we'll see later in this tournament. I don't really know. But yeah, these bots are a fun experiment just to kind of throw a few hours into and then never really go back to it ever again. Or it's something you can get sucked into and just be, just as addicted to it as actually playing Starcraft 2. Because every time you watch your bot play, you see, ooh, it did this wrong. I could fix this. I can make this better. And then you get sucked in. And the opponent will be Slava Simplebot version 1.0. No biography here. It's made by Slavig or Slavig. Yeah, and they, I believe, are both Python bots. Yes, let's go ahead and start into game number 1 here. As I load it up. Since these games are technically run on an older version of StarCraft 2, even though our maps mimic the current balance patch, the easiest way to go from replay to replay is actually just to Alt F4, go out, and then double click the replay, and it'll load you straight into the game. Because let's get rid of this frame. There we go. What was I totally lost my train of thought there. Yeah, because when you go into older versions through the, within StarCraft 2, it just forces you to log out, log in again, log out, log in again. It's really annoying. Yeah, so let's go ahead and get this game started. Spawning in the top right, we have the red Terran. It is Garbage Can. Actually, let's get rid of this. But we'll bring up the production tab. Meanwhile, in the bottom left, we have the blue Protoss. It is Slavy Simplebot. Simplebot sending out a probe to take an extractor at his third. Interesting. So perhaps the logic of, to find where your gases are is like find any gas within a range of 20. So like, wait, there's one here, and oh, this is within range of 20 as well. Meanwhile, Garbage Can has yet to make his first SCV. So I have a suspicion this may not be just a simple battlecruiser bot. It may just be a simple empty bot. Gas is starting to get mined by Slavy Simplebot, but will he be able to secure the victory? This can be hard as if it's like your first, upload for your bot. It all depends like how much work you put into it before putting on the ladder. I think it's always a good idea to just put it directly on the ladder. Basically you get to see a whole bunch of test games get played for you. If you wait until your bot's perfect, you're never going to actually put it on the ladder at all. So he has the ability to take gas geysers, but not put workers into them. Luckily, the probe that built the gas geyser never left, so it's actually able to mine the gas, so he's going to get a decent gas income here. Meanwhile, no, we do see something out of Garbage Can. It is able to expand. So it's not producing workers, but once it reached 400 minerals, it looks like it did build another command center. So more targets for Slavy Simplebot to have to deal with, who is expanding himself as well, and now actually going up to 2 in gas. So it looks like there is logic for the gas. I guess there's logic based on, okay, how much gas do I need? And then if I don't need gas, then no reason to put more workers there. Cybercore going down, although it did create a little pocket here you can get probe stuck. Let's hope he doesn't rally the Nexus out this way. But rallies are something that bots don't really have to use. Right? As soon as a gateway produces an idle zealot, you can just start giving it commands, right? We don't have to rally it out somewhere because bots can like immediately start microing every unit as soon as it comes out. Garbage Can, meanwhile, is up to 1,400 minerals, and he hasn't built another expansion. So maybe this was based on time rather than mineral count. Or maybe it was just hard-coded to expand once. But yeah, I think that's probably going to be all we're going to see out of Garbage Can. This is more going to be a battle of can Slavy close out this game, or is it going to end up being a draw? We were talking about requirements to put a bot on the ladder, and I thought a really good idea was to match it, run a test to match it up against an empty bot and see if it can win. And that way you kind of know the bot is developed enough to be able to produce units, to be able to attack, and yeah, I guess just testing those two things. Not the most ideally spaced Stargate. Although if it was actually one to the right and it was just hanging out like this, it doesn't actually interrupt mining that much. So putting a 3x3 structure in your mining area seems like a bad idea, but sometimes if you place it just right, it actually doesn't hurt you. Or only very slightly hurts you. Third gateway going down. Meanwhile, we do have another base. 3 of 3 on this gas is always interesting. Mailman must be here. I'm assuming you can hear that in the background. What else we got? Oh no, the same issue over here. Yeah. So in identifying a base, I think like a good idea is just to look for all the mineral patches and all the gas geysers within a range of 9. And that will typically look within like a range of, let's say like, I don't know, what's 9 range from the nexus point, something like this. That's how I do it. 9 or 10 range. But even that can be a problem because sometimes there's maybe a cliff edge right behind these minerals, and then there's a low ground base here with minerals, right? And you don't want those minerals, so maybe you need to look at to make sure they're on the same terrain level as well. Like for instance, like if this base were a little bit closer, say this nexus was here, then it might think that these mineral patches are part of the base. So just identifying like a standard base layout is something you want to get right. And that's something that you have to do in some of the more raw APIs like the C++ or Java API. But if you're using an API that's much more flushed out, a lot of this stuff is done for you. A lot of the heavy lifting. The Python API is especially known for this. The C# one is actually getting really good. There's one made called the Sharky framework, which is not to be mistaken for the Sharpie framework, which is a framework built on Python. But yeah, they handle a lot of this stuff, like basic things like, here's bases, but even things like, making sure when you build a gateway, you build it within range of a pylon, or, just input a build order and then we'll figure out how to like build that in the correct order, given the, resources you have and whatnot. So we do have Void Rays and Stalkers on the field here. It looks like they are able to overcome the defense of Garbage Can. The question is, will they attack? Another gateway going down. So if you are ever interested in coding your own bots, you can see that it's won't take you much to guarantee yourself a spot that's not at the bottom of the ladder. It is kind of overwhelming for new authors, I think, to join our scene, just because some of these bots are so well developed and people have been working on them for years that it's hard to just kind of hop in and be competitive. But we have a wide range of bots, and while you may not be competitive for the rank 1 spots and beating Micro Machine, you can be competitive with the other newer bots, or less developed bots, I guess. And yeah, it can be fun in that way. You just gotta have your expectations set right. It's interesting to, just work on like one little task, and then when you see that task in play and you can see how it improves your play, it's pretty rewarding. I had a couple advantages when I joined the ladder. Well, a few actually. One is that I play Starcraft 2. A lot of the developers do not know the game very well, so they don't really understand the mechanics and like how making workers, for instance, is super important. Meanwhile, the Void Rays are moving out. So I guess I'll just end that line of thought, and let's just watch the Golden Armada here, which is actually the name of a bot, the Golden Armada, moving across the map. And I think this should ensure victory. Now, can he find the natural base will be a question to ask, as it looks like he's not going to grab vision of it. No, he does not know about the main base yet. However, once the command center goes down, these SCVs will be heading towards the natural, so even if he can't find the natural, he may get naturally dragged in there. No, but none of the SCVs made it. Okay. Oh, and Garbage Can likes to maintain 2 command centers, so as long as this SCV stays alive, he'll be continuing to hide command centers, and he has plenty of resources for it at 4,800. The Stalkers are joining in the fight, though, and they are able to come by the natural base. Now, you are given the spawn location of your opponent, so that's a pretty obvious place to set your attack point when you're wanting to move out. But you need to be able to do more than that, right? You need to be able to wander from base to base, checking them, and even sometimes you may end up with like, a command center or nexus or hatchery hidden somewhere. So maybe some sort of method to just attack a random position on the map, and then apply that method to every one of your units, and then make that like the search and destroy method that you do at the end of the game when you can't seem to quite close it out. Or Void Raid's on the way. Oh, so this starport actually, if we look at its angle towards there, you can see it might end up... Oh, okay, you got vision of it. Okay, there he goes. He sees it. Okay, so we can tell that the logic was, you know, just attack towards the guy's spawn point, but then also any structure I see, or any unit I see in general, I'll go after that. And there we go. It looked looked like that could have ended up being a draw if things are a little bit different, but Slava is able to grab the victory. And we can see that this bot is not it's not going to be a pushover for the next opponent like Garbage Can was. You know, it was expanding, it was taking gas, it was getting probes, it was building stalkers and void rays. So even though it's not the most advanced in its ability to attack, you know, just having a bunch of units might be enough to grab some victories. So let's see how far Slavy Simplebot can go up this Gauntlet series. And we'll go ahead and hop to the next game, which apparently is by Alt F4. And then, well, I guess what we can do is actually take a look at the next opponent here. He'll be going up against Too Many Stalkers, another Protoss bot by Professor Q. It's a bit bigger, I guess. And he's got a little bit of biography here. Do you ever think, I wish there were more stalkers? Well, now there's too many. So there is a link to the GitHub. So if you wanted like a sample bot to run yourself and take a look at, this is one you could use. Made with the Python SE2 library maintained by Bernie SE2. So he's working off of the main Python library, which again does a lot of the heavy lifting for you. But even more than that, on top of that, there's something called the Sharpie framework, which you can build on, which is built on top of the Python SE2 library, which does even more of the heavy lifting. So I don't know. It's up to you. Like some of the things these frameworks do, you may want to end up coding yourself because it could be fun. But if you just want to I just want to be able to give a build order and start working immediately on strategy, then these frameworks are great as they do a lot of the basics for you. Yeah, so let's go ahead and hop into this game. So it's going to be Simple Slavy Bot versus Too Many Stalkers. And this bot was recently updated. So he only made it a month ago, May 7th, but he's been updating up until June 7th, which is only like a week ago, if I saw that correctly. So this match is going to be on Ice and Chrome. And it's going to be a PvP. So let's get that production tab up. And spawning in the top right is the returning champion. It is Slavy Simplebot looking for its second win. Meanwhile, in the bottom left, saying hello to the tag which represents Simple Slavy Bot. Just the fact that he even looks at the opponent's tag could be something. So, you know, these bots can keep a history on their opponents and do variations based on that. But anyways, it is the blue Protoss. It is Too Many Stalkers in the bottom left. So another double gas opener for Simple Slavy Bot and followed by a pylon. So not an optimized build order if you're a Starcraft 2 player, but at this point we're not really... Optimized builds is not what's going to win at this point in the ladder. It's going to be more like the very basics that are most important. Much like as like, you know, a Diamond League SC2 player, you know, intense micro is not what's most important. It's really getting your basic mechanics and macro and positioning correct. Too Many Stalkers has the same issue of leaving the probe on the assimilator after he takes it. Something you need to do as, you know, Zerg, you lose the worker, and Terran, you got to keep the worker there. But Protoss has a nice little advantage. You just place a structure, they can go back to mining. I guess the good thing about that is you do immediately start gas intake at that moment. Cybercore going down, much more developed builder, I would say, out of too many stalkers. It seemed to be right, you know, pylon, gateway, cyber. Actually, it was 2 gates and then cyber. Getting up to 16 out of 16 on minerals, and now saturating gas fully. Meanwhile, we do have an expand out of Slava Simplebot. I think I've been calling that Simple Slava Bot the whole entire time. I don't know. And getting a Cybercar of his own. Ooh, and a gateway which heavily blocks that gas mining. But at least he's not distance mining a faraway gas geyser this time, so he's got that going for him. I have a feeling when this natural's done, he might end up taking this gas, thinking it's part of this phase. We'll have to see. Forge in play, and chrono boosting warp gates. I wonder if it's going to be for a defensive cannon, or no, it's going to be for a +1. Okay. This is something I would like to see more Protoss bots take advantage of, is upgrades. I haven't really seen a Protoss bot prioritize upgrades, or even like get an early double forge. But it is one thing that bots would excel in that they would be perfect on the chrono boosts. You know, the exact moment that the chrono boost expires, you can cast the next chrono boost. And upgrades are one of the best things to put chrono boost into. You know, chrono boosting your gateways, you could solve that issue with just building another gateway. You know, chrono boosting warp gate tech, for instance, you know, that doesn't really do anything besides get your warp gate tech faster. But upgrades for like attack and defense upgrades are something that, you know, they're a requirement for the next attack and defense upgrade, and you know, something that can't be sped up in any other way besides chrono boost. So if you really wanted to rush 3-3, a bot could probably do it much faster than a human. Yeah, so actually, after taking this natural base, it decided that this gas geyser and this gas geyser are part of his base. I mean, if you do oversaturate and it's time to distance mining gas is actually kind of cool. There's more value in distance mining a gas geyser than distance mining a mineral patch. Just because like 1 round of gas mining is so much more valuable than 1 round of mineral mining. Meanwhile, we do have an offensive warp in. We got 3 stalkers. Slava on his side of the map, however, has not built any units yet. We do have 1 stalker. And that is all. But going up to 3 bases, so if this attack never actually happens, eventually this economy you would think would kick in. Slava Simplebot is actually spending through his money well. It does have a Void Ray and a Stalker now. The gas mining is a little interrupted based on the structure placement. I don't even know how to go about preventing building structures in here, but again, something the frameworks can do for you. I definitely know that the Sharpie framework can manage all the structure positions for you. They even define, like, they figure out where the ramp is and how to do a wall off at the ramp. We are up to more stalkers warping, 2 more to go with the original 6, 3 more, almost 10 stalkers, way more than Slava can handle here. But Slava's economy is so strong at the moment. 2 full base economy. I guess it's pretty even actually. Worker counts are about even. But the 3rd base will kick in eventually, but not with stalkers attacking into them. They are getting separated though. There's 3 stalkers on their own. If these units decide to attack to defend, they could have picked off those 3 units while they're vulnerable. But it appears like Slava does not have any code to attack units when he sees them, which is unfortunate. I think it's more like build up to a certain supply count and then just go. So we saw the how the logic was fairly simplistic for its attacking, and I guess it's just as much so for the defense. It seems like the only logic is get to a certain supply count and go. But a nice simple thing to do is just have a rally point, like attack here with all my units, unless I see an enemy unit, and attack that. Right, so that way you'll just pile all your units here, and then anytime you see an enemy unit, you'll go attack that unit, and then when the enemy units are dead, you'll move back here. And that's a nice way to just handle defense in the most simplistic way. So Too Many Stalkers is moving into the main base now. We did get a ninja base up over here, so maybe if somehow these void rays can clean it up. I think he already lost a void though. 3 voids over here, 4th on the way. And all 4 voids are going to attack at once. There's no prismatic alignment code. Yeah, so I think these stalkers are going to push for the win. Only 2 workers left. No minerals down to 45. A little bit mining over here. And another wave of stalkers probably ready to join the fight at some point. Looks like he will finally lose his first stalker though. There it goes. First? No, he's actually lost 3 units. He's lost 3 stalkers. I missed a couple other ones. And I think at this point we'll just speed it up. Just to make sure that Too Many Stalkers can close out the battle. Remember, we do have this unscouted base, and we saw that Slava had issues finishing the game in its previous match. So if the same applies to Too Many Stalkers, this could be a draw. And in the case of a draw, we will just kick both players out of the tournament and move on to the next 2 fresh players. So Too Many Stalkers is living up to its name, as that's quite the stalker count. Adding more gateways. It's even got a couple of defensive stalkers in each base to deal with harassment. That's kind of cool. And Slava Simplebot's actually rebuilding at this point. Cybercore going down. That's actually somewhat advanced. His bot must be built in a way to, like, you know, not just a build order, like build this and this and this, but actually built in a way to rebuild things, right? So it's not like build a cyber after the gateway. It's when I need a cyber, build it sort of idea. So that way it handles whenever you lose the cyber. But it does look like the probe was dragged him in here, and yeah, with his last structures being revealed, that will be that. So Too Many Stalkers was not able to find this final nexus, but a probe led him in here. And then once the final nexus went down and Slava Simplebot was revealed, then Too Many Stalkers was smart enough to go after those revealed structures. So congratulations to our new king at the moment. I guess it's kind of like a King of the Hill tournament. And we'll hop out of there and let's take a look at who will be next. We'll do one more match for this video. Oh, please don't tell me the website's down at this moment. Okay, good. We have been having some issues with the new website. We have a whole bunch of things got updated and some technical mumbo jumbo I don't understand, and there's issues. But I'm just an author. I do not have any maintenance on the site. Man. Pronunciation is going to be one here. Valinors? Valinors? Valinors Protoss. Another Python Protoss bot. And he will be the next opponent. Also created just this March, and it looks like it's just been created and added to the ladder, and then no updates since then. At least not on this bot. So let's take a look and see how it does. Just loading up the replay now. So another PvP for us. Too many stalkers actually look quite strong for this level of the ladder. I mean, his build was pretty good. You know, he was spending his money. He was building a bunch of stalkers, and stalkers, if you're just going to mass one unit, stalker doesn't seem like a bad idea. And even warping them in on the offense. So let's get that production tab up, and in the bottom right we have the returning champ. No one has yet to win, defends their championship, I guess, as they moving on to tougher competition every game. It is actually, that's in the top left. It's too many stalkers, and the challenger in the bottom right will be Valinors Protoss, the red Protoss. So yeah, good start of both of them. We can see Pylon Gateway in the for Valinor, and then a slightly delayed gateway out of too many stalkers here. Gas has been taken by Val, and even putting his probes back to the mineral line after taking the gas. Something new to see here. Gas is taken, and he puts 2 into gas. Little known fact that the third worker you put in gas is not nearly as efficient as the first 2. So if, say, you wanted 4 in gas right now, what you do is you put 2 in each, and that'll be much more efficient than putting 3 in one and 1 in the other. Two gateways out of both opponents right now. Oh no, actually, yeah. There's no cybercore for Val. Ooh, that's gonna be a problem. So what's all this gas for? Nice saturation, went up to 16 of 16 and then saturated as gas. But you need a cybercore, Val, or you're gonna be in trouble. Floating up to 475 minerals now, and the gas bank is coming in 300 gas per minute, but without a way to spend it as of yet. Meanwhile, too many stalkers, we're using the same build we've seen before, where he's getting the forge and probably the +1 upgrade. Val is expanding with those extra minerals he had. No units as per yet. Cybercore is on the way, however. So we did see from the last game that too many stalkers does not attack super fast. So this could actually be an advantage. The fact that you're not making any units means you can expand faster. And if your opponent lets you get away with it, why not? We'll see what happens when the Cybercore completes. An immediate Twilight Council, followed by a couple stalkers. Supply depot finishes. And we see an expansion out of too many stalkers now. Does have a nice little wall off with a zealot in the wall. +1 ground weapons. And Warp Gate Tech is nearly complete. Meanwhile, Warp Gate Tech is not getting chrono boosted by Val, which I'm a fan of. I never understand why Protoss always chrono boosts Warp Gate. It seems unnecessary unless you're doing a timing based on Warp Gate, or it's really required for defense that early in the game. Otherwise, it just seems like a waste of chrono boost. You could be increasing your probe count or working on maybe like a forge upgrade, something where the chrono gets actual value over time. Or a timing like this. If you're doing like a charge lot timing, then you could chrono boost charge. But I haven't seen Warp Gate timings since like Wings of Liberty. Interesting little patrol here out of Valbot. It doesn't look like it's actually a patrol. They just be given new commands from one place to another. APM is definitely favoring definitely higher for too many stalkers, as these stalkers are all trying to get on that one little place in the middle, and they're fighting each other for it And that's where 1700 APM is mostly going. Actually, it appears even the probes are being given commands here. Maybe to keep them like paired up on each mineral patch. Although I do see some of them bouncing around. So I'm not quite sure where that 1700 APM is going. But let's go back to the production tab here. Charge is almost complete. However, he has all stalkers, so I think Blink might have been the better choice. Of course, if you haven't coded Blink, then... or coded any sort of Blink micro, then maybe Charge is better. Don't need micro for Charge, you just need Zealots. Let's bring up the units tab, actually. The stalker count is actually quite even. Slight economic advantage for Val. He's up to 52 probes and taking a third base. But too many stalkers is attacking in now. And let's see how this goes. 12 stalkers to 12 stalkers. But getting to attack 5 of them on their own. Looks like these stalkers are still doing the attack into the main, attack into the natural command. And gets to basically fight these two armies in two halves. And this is why keeping your army together is a good idea. Because we just saw an even stalker count where one person lost 12 stalkers and the other one lost 6. Warping in stalkers right in front of the opponent's stalker is not always a good idea, as you will take that extra damage while you're warping in. An extra forge. Probably not the desperate tech you want, but we do have an immortal on the way. That is big news, and that will be handy. I thought he was actually pulling workers to fight with, which might be a good idea, but these workers might still distract. No micro on the immortal, however. It does take out like 1.5 stalkers before dying, which I guess actually is pretty terrible. Couple redline stalkers. Oh man, one of them survives. Again, warping in front of his stalkers, taking a ton of damage. He is able to finish off one stalker beforehand. So maybe he can eventually clean up these 4 stalkers, but the warp-ins are not finishing for too many stalkers here. Val does still have a great economy. 3 base economy, should be bringing in more money. It's just, can he ever get an army together again? I think it might actually be good news for Val if this pylon goes down. Because if it does, he'll stop warping in right in front of the stalkers. Adding on more gateways and starports. Obviously, as a human, we know that adding production when you're dying is not the best idea. You want to be producing from what you got. Or adding a forge at least is probably not a good idea. Maybe you need production to support the economy. But much harder for a scripted bot to figure out what's going on in the game. You know, it's easy to have a plan. It's hard to adjust to the dynamic of the game at that point in time. Yeah, these warp-ins right in front of stalkers is so painful. You get like one shot off and then you get killed. So even the shields have fully regened almost on these 4 stalkers. A lot of reinforcements building up here. We do not see a third base out of too many stalkers. So you can see he's way oversaturated on these bases. I like the idea of non-stop worker production, however, if it just literally never stops and you stay on 2 bases, you're going to get heavily oversaturated on the worker count there. Not a problem Val is having though, as he's losing all of his probes. Oversaturation will not hurt him. Started timing attack with 20 plus stalkers. Okay, so he got up to 20 plus and now he's bringing in reinforcements. And I believe this should be the killing blow. We're going to go ahead and speed this up. Try to get a little bit better next time about using the correct scene to hide the total time in the game, as I just noticed I had that exposed. So probably try not to bring up the game screen until I hide that value. Hopefully that wasn't too spoilery for you guys who noticed. But then again, these games are not, you know, the tippy top of the bot scene as of yet. Hopefully by the time we start seeing like the real high-end bots, I'm not making silly mistakes like that. Stalker's doing a little dance. Whoops. Sometimes like, okay, attack here, and then oh, here's the closest point now. Oh no, here's the closest point. Sometimes you'll get the wiggle. If you always tell your units to attack the closest enemy unit, you'll eventually get a wiggle. Well, it just can't make up its mind between two different units. Because like every game frame, it changes which is the closest, because you keep stepping back and forward and there's a little delay on finding out which one's actually closest here. Yeah, it looks like these stalkers are getting held up by the 2 stalker force field, which isn't enough to kill this nexus, so it's this one person's job to finish off the game here. Val, another bot that looks like he's able to decently rebuild, which is kind of cool. And with that nexus down, I think the final mop-up is here. With an impressive 30 stalkers out on the field. And a whole ton of resources in the bank. Yeah, so it's, whatever his code is for building pylons, it looks like he gets caught at 142. But you can get really far on the ladder with 142 supply. If you can get up there safely and attack smart, which I think Too Many Stalkers is doing here, then I see he could make probably a decent run. We'll see how quickly the opponents improve, though, as he will be facing tougher and tougher opponents every game. Yeah, so next up on the list would be... Yeah, so Too Many Stalkers actually on winning 2 wins. Next up will be Lila, followed by Excess. But we'll save that for the next video. As, yeah, actually 64 bots we had on the ladder by the end of last season. That's pretty cool. Seems each season gets a few more bots than the previous season. Who said SC2 is dead? Soon we'll be heading into Zerg territory here, as it looks like there's a whole bunch of Zerg bots at this point on the ladder. Not so many near the top, though. Well, actually, we got the tried and true Spiny, who's always been a top bot. And then Eris, which is actually a team that's building this. The author of 2 of the best Zerg bots, Spiny and Paul, have joined forces to start a new bot. So I think Spiny is more or less probably not being maintained that much. So Eris is probably going to take over the spot as being the #1 Zerg bots. And yeah, the website's having issues right now, if you can't notice. So it was a good time to end the video. So with that, we'll call it the end of this one. Thank you everyone for tuning in, and stay tuned for more in this series. If this video is a little bit old for you, then there'll probably be a playlist in the end screen, which might be up right now, where you can take a look at all the games. Yeah, so have a good one, guys, and I'm out of here. Goodbye.